re-recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is for the Admiral, Admiral Z. I know you know that this Congress, or not this Congress, but a previous Congress after 9/11 passed the law that would require 100% of scanning for the containers that are coming in and out of our ports. And it's clear from this administration that that goal is not even being attempted to be achieved. And in fact, we've heard from, I think, both Secretaries of Homeland Security that's just not something that's going to happen. And instead, the administration has asked for a layered approach to security in and out of our ports. I think our ports are still one of the most vulnerable entryways into our country. And I think sort of the excuse that it may slow down commerce and that would be of a bigger detriment to our economy than an attack at one of our ports would be. I disagree with that 100%. And again, interesting that through these last months of the contract negotiations, we have been told now that it might take 3 months to clear out the backlog of the ships on the West Coast ports, which I think is a bigger issue. I've introduced a bill that would, the SCAN Act, that would authorize 2 ports in the country to do a pilot program of 100% scanning of the containers. I think the technology exists so that it wouldn't slow down commerce. Is that something that you think we ought to at least evaluate or look into as a possible long-term policy for this country?
Yeah, Congresswoman, that would really fall under the oversight of our Customs and Border Protection. So it would probably be unfair for me to comment on what Commissioner Kurlikowski, this would come under his purview, whether that would be a prudent measure or not. I will say we have a seamless interaction with our Customs and Border Protection. Coast Guard and CBP work at the National Targeting Center together, where Coast Guard screens every foreign crew member destined for the United States. It could be on a passenger vessel. It could be a commercial vessel. CBP does the same thing for every container. Where was it packed? Is it a trusted shipper or not? Which would then make that particular container subject to further screening or perhaps even more intrusive and time-consuming, actually opening and inspecting that container. But at the end of the day, this bill would really need to be addressed to Customs and Border Protection.
Well, I just was asking you because, of course, Coast Guard oversees our ships coming in and out. And again, on the West Coast, you're dealing with other issues with panga boats, and that's even another layer of security coming in and out of our ports. So I appreciate that. So the Secretary of Homeland Security came out today with a statement that said if Congress was unable to reach agreement on the DHS funding this week, contract negotiations will be delayed to construct the Coast Guard's 8th National Security Cutter, which would lead to higher cost. And I was wondering if you could just elaborate to us so that while we're trying to make this decision, what kind of costs would be higher as a result of the DHS funding lapsing?
Yeah. Through our acquisition program, we go with a fixed price contract. And so we have negotiated the price of that contract. And so the contract that will be let is $638 million. But we need to award that by mid-March so it will be obligated by the end of the month. If we miss this timeline, then we have to renegotiate the price all over again. In our years of experience, every time you negotiate to a higher level, not to a lower level. So it increases the cost, and more importantly, it also delays the construction of this final cutter of this program of record at a point in time where we need to build trade space in our acquisition budget to bring on the offshore patrol cutter.
And I also understand that a lapse in the funding will impact your 225-foot buoy tender ships. And these ships, of course, are crucial to protecting vessels on our coastline, recovering spilled oil. What does the lapse in the maintenance of these ships, what does that mean?
Yeah. So we have a very finite acquisition budget, and so we squeeze everything that we can into it. And so with our 225-foot buoy tenders, this is a service life extension program to extend the service life of these ships out for a number of years ahead. And so what that does create then is a backlog, and then we would have to look at the next year acquisition budget, but we would need some relief in that to deal with the backlog that the CR may create this year.
Thank you. I yield back.